Well, one of the advantages of using the Ohlone College Library database is that Ohlone College spends tens of thousands of dollars a year to gain access into many publications, such as, say, Scientific American and Science magazine, that would require you to pay a fee for the article or even subscribe if you approach those using Google. So that's why I want you to get used to using the library database. We've got a few search terms here, and you notice I clicked in the library, I get the central search. That's fine. And I probably want to do an advanced search, and I'll show you why in a second. Let's just say if you wanted to search on Montagnier and see what was going on around the time his publication on the new virus hit, which is around May of 1983. So we'll start there, and actually, pardon me, Montagnier, I'm going to say AIDS virus. Just for fun. I could just do Montagnier AIDS too. It probably doesn't make much of a difference. And let's go just to the end of 1986 for fun, just to see how he fits into the scheme. And sometimes it'll not show anything and have an icon where you have to sign in. That's not a big thing. This article from 1986 just means they're finding the virus all over the place. Kind of cruise through it, see what you think. 1984, that's when Gallo published. All right, and said he discovered it. And just kind of look around here. Different strains of the AIDS virus. 1985. And there's a little bit of fighting over it too, over who gets credit, who gets to make money off of the antibody test. So these are some of the early years, and just kind of cruise through. Tensions in AIDS research, that looks pretty good. And all these things you can kind of look at and figure out which ones are really going to be helpful here. And keep in mind your focus. You're looking at who deserves credit for discovering the virus that causes AIDS. You already know from the book that the French discovered it in 1983 in January. They published about that with Gallo as a peer reviewer in May of 1983. And then a year later, Gallo, in about April of 1984, announces that he discovered it without really giving the French a lot of credit. And so that's where the battle begins. And I think you have enough background in the book from week 7 to get a feel for that. Now, if you want to flesh it out a little bit, just do Montagnier, Gallo, AIDS, and see what happens there. See what kind of hits you get. Tensions, AIDS update. A lot of the similar articles here, so there's not a big difference. French through the U.S. That's something. Over discovery. And the New York Times, good. Pretty readable is what I mean by newspaper articles. Sometimes the more academic journals are a little bit more challenging. Okay. So that's what you do. Is you go into that period and then you open up these articles and you start looking at them. Available online. Sometimes you have to click around a little bit. And well, I'm not sure what the magazine is here. It's out of Chicago, Illinois. But let's see something. This one here is a little bit tricky, Science Magazine, and I'm pretty sure this would cost a pretty penny to get it off the Google search, which will be your next search. I want you to use the library first. Oh, we got it right here. Very good, very good. So sometimes you have to kind of snoop around and get the full text. It's usually there with these articles. And that's one. Now, when you go in again, you're going to go for 1989 to 91, pardon me, because that's when the battle really got going. Chicago Tribune published a kind of an expose saying Gallo really cheated, and a lot of back and forth, a tempest in a test tube, AIDS feud. So now you get a lot of battle, because this is a time when it really hit the headlines again. There's a lot of good coverage. And so get a couple of articles from the middle period that you can use. Get a couple articles from the first period, 1983 to 1986, that you can use. And then move your search terms up again to 2008. I think it's in the fall when the Nobel Prize is awarded. And we'll go into 2009 just to give room for more commentary. And then when we get into this, we get a different discussion. And who wins the Nobel? 3 Europeans. All colors at the brain show. Not a lot of stuff right there. Let's see if I can, not as much as I'd like. I'm just going to see if I can just take the month out, but I'll just leave the month blank, and I'll leave the month blank. And sometimes you get that. Sometimes you get like, I don't see anything. Invalid. Oh, you want the month. Okay, be picky. I'll just do 1 of 8 to 12 and 9. And search. And, okay, I don't like what I get there. So I fiddle around with the search terms. I don't think 4 articles is very good. So let's just do this. Nobel Prize. See what, because that's what they're fighting about anyway. See what that does. Now we got a little bit more. Not a bunch. All right, so that didn't Nobel snub. That's kind of cool, though. New Scientist, available online. We've got it somewhere. Nobel snub. We know who was snubbed. Gallo was. And Nobel Prize, kind of a general announcement. And I'm not understanding why that doesn't work that well. And I can maybe look at Montagnier Nobel Prize. See if that changes things a little bit. Well, we get a few more, and maybe I just need to broaden the number per page. There we go. We got 25. So Montagnier, Gallo, Barré, Nobel Prize. Barré might push it a little bit because that's not her last name, and it's Sinoussi. And I'm not trying to snub. I'm just trying to make the search easier by not including the woman who actually discovered the virus. Fewer words. So it looks like Montagnier Nobel Prize is probably the better search, but I'm not really happy with what I'm getting. I'm really not happy with what I'm getting. So it's kind of a slim pickings there. I thought I'd get more, and I don't know what I have. It's, a few dozen articles, maybe, not so much. Publication date from, I don't know why that did that. I actually selected 2008. And maybe I'll go to 2010 just for fun. I don't know if that makes any difference, but let's just see what we got. It doesn't change here. I'm confused. It doesn't matter. See what you can get there, okay? You're going to find enough material. I've got 25 there, and I think there's enough anyway. Did Nobel Committee snub Italian? No, that's not right. It's not a physicist we're looking at. And 3 Europeans. Probably Nobel snub would get into it a little bit. So then from there, let's go into Google. I just want you to start with the library to know it's there. I don't know why this map is here, but I'll go to a new Google window. I'm sorry about that. Let me go over here. I'll just open up a new one here. So it's real simple. Gallo, Montagnier, AIDS virus. Now, if you do that, you're going to get, I don't know, 14 million hits or something like that. Just a bunch, okay? And so I think it'd be better to go into Tools over here, go into Custom Range. Google's real easy here, by the way. You just have to put in 1983, 1984. And that's enough. You don't have to do day and month, etc. So you get a lot of good stuff here. I don't know how many hits there are. I don't see that up here, but there is a bunch. You're not going to run out for a while. Well, okay, you got 15. Not so much. All right. And then let's see here. I'm going to just change the dates here. Custom range, and let's see what happens if I use Google 1989. To 1991, when there was a big brouhaha. Good. This is looking good. Chicago Tribune. Now, you probably can get that with the Ohlone database. Here, Washington Post. AIDS strain was French. Gallo concedes. That's huge. He's saying, okay, I used the French virus to do my research. Doesn't mean he's guilty. It just means a hero or heretic. No, get rid of Duesenberg. He's whack. He doesn't think HIV causes AIDS. But here you have lots of things you can look at here. So Google search is easier. And the advantage, though, to using the Ohlone databases really comes in when you find something with Google search that requires you to buy the magazine or to subscribe to the newspaper. Then you can get it for free, typically, but not always, in the Ohlone College database. So use both. I'll leave it at that. And then I have 3 discussion forums below for you to do 3 things. I want you to submit your articles. I want you to submit the citation for your articles. And then I want you to submit the passage from the article or passages from the article that you think are pertinent to this argument over who deserves the Nobel Prize for the discovery of the HIV virus. A little bit of nomenclature. Gallo called it HTLV3. The French called it LAV. So the first name, lymphadenopathy-associated virus, 1983. Then Gallo tried to name it into the family of retroviruses he's discovered, so it became HTLV3. And I remember having conversations in 1986, and we're wondering, what are we going to call this thing? And finally, I think it's 87, it may have been late 86, after a medical conference, they agreed that human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, is the name that everybody could use. So it took a while to get the name for it. Just like it did for AIDS. It was a gay-related immune disorder. And then eventually it migrated into acquired immune deficiency syndrome. And before it was gay-related immune disorder, it was gay cancer. So, eventually they find something that works well, but that's part of science. It's discovery, and you don't always get things right. So I think from this you can see how to do the date-limited searches. You can fiddle around with this. You can add Barré, Gallo-Montagnier, AIDS virus. You can probably narrow it. AIDS virus discovery controversy. Let's see what that does. So that fewer hits, but maybe more on target. And play around with it. Research takes time. This will take time. And I'm going to ask you by Thursday of this coming week to submit your research results and the quotes you're going to use from your articles for each of the 3 periods outlined in this assignment. I hope this helps.